So this past Thursday, the newsletter I sent out was about the winning combination of fear and excitement. I love this. So we're going to dive into that in just a second. But first, as we're all kind of getting comfortable, settling in, getting our drinkies, let's ramble about a couple things here. First of all, lighter later, awesome. It's 7:35 here on the East Coast, and it is not pitch black out. In fact, if I were out driving, I wouldn't even need my headlights yet. That's pretty crazy. And I'm looking out at a beautiful sky with pink in the sunset, some blues, some purples. Really pretty. If I wouldn't mess up my whole setup here, I would spin it so you could see it, but I'm not risking that. And then also, let's just give a huge round of applause to all the runners of the Boston Marathon. Today was the Boston Marathon. I'm a New England girl, as you can't tell by the accent. But really, Marathon Monday is always an exciting time here in New England. 30,000 people, I think they said, ran the marathon this year. And almost half of that number were women, which I think is great, especially given that it's the 50th anniversary of the time. Oh, God, what was her name? I shared it in my... Oh, yeah, I got it here. Catherine Switzer was the first woman to officially run the Boston Marathon 50 years ago. She ran with number 261. She's the one in the picture. Hey, Joe. She's the one in the picture that you see all the men trying to pull her out of the race because they didn't feel like women should run the Boston Marathon, shouldn't be allowed to at that time. So there was a huge group of women this year on the 50th anniversary, if you want to call it that, who ran the marathon with 261 on their shirt in honor. And actually, Catherine there, miss?
No, just got interrupted.
Oh, hold on. Let's see if I'm back.
Yep.
I forgot to put on my little do not disturb and a call came through. Okay, good, I'm back. So if you missed any of that, Catherine Switzer, 50 years ago, first woman to run the marathon, ran it again today at the age of 70. And she ran it with a group of women who had 261 on their t-shirts in honor of the number that she had back when she first ran it, when all of the male runners were trying to really tackle her and pull her out of the race. So
she registered as K. Switzer, so they didn't know she was a female.
Oh, okay, thanks, Melissa. So 50 years ago, she registered for the marathon as K. Switzer, just the initial K, so they didn't know it was a woman. So she got a number, got into the race, and mayhem ensued. So back in the day, men didn't want women running. Fortunately, things have improved a little bit. But yes, so there were, I think almost half of the runners, probably a good 40 to 45% of the runners today were women, which is fantastic. So big congrats to the Boston Marathon runners. That is a level of dedication. I just don't know. If I'm running, someone's chasing me, someone's scary, or maybe there's a soccer ball in front of me. That's it. But my friend Tracy ran the marathon today. So pretty exciting. And then finally, before we dive into fear and excitement, is Mercury retrograde kicking anyone else's ass? If you're not familiar with what that is, it's just a time when the Mercury is in retrograde, and it affects communication and technology primarily, and holy shit, pardon my language, am I being sucked around with it from my laptop battery was dying, right, Kathy? So my laptop battery was dying, so I thought, oh gosh, I need a new battery. So I order a new battery online. As I'm waiting for that to arrive, my laptop just stops charging altogether, and it was the power cord, not the battery, so I get a new power cord. So now I think, cool, maybe it was the power cord and I don't need the battery. No, battery still sucked. Even with the new power cord, install the new battery, it still sucks. So, and let me just say, I know that these are all first world problems. I get it. Then just technology is just failing all over. So today, again, first world problem, I know, went to get my brows waxed and checked in for my appointment and was sitting there waiting, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I'm like, what the hell? Went up to the desk, and the appointment was entered into the computer at the front desk, but it didn't sync to the schedule to the esthetician. So I waited 45 minutes. I should have gotten up sooner and spoken up. to get my 5-minute brow appointment. So it's just, man, I'm trying to like, I think of a past client of mine and her interpretation. She's an astrologist, and she really sees Mercury retrograde as a great thing. She sees it as a time to be introspective and whatnot. I'm too pissed off to be introspective. I'm annoyed. But yeah, so I'm not sure. I think it goes till like the beginning of May. Lord help me. Anyway. Okay, that's my top of the hour, well, half hour rambling. Feel free to comment, tell me I'm crazy, like ask what the hell's wrong with me, any of those things. Okay, now I think I'm ready to dive into the actual topic of the evening. But let's see here, yeah. Oh, Lee Marie says hi to you, miss.
I know, I said hi.
Oh, okay, I didn't see. Oh, yes, some other people are feeling the retrograde. Oh, if anyone else is having difficulty with communication, technology, and you don't know why, and you're not familiar with Mercury retrograde, you can blame it on Mercury. That's it. Communication with people too. Had a customer tell me today to shut my pie hole. Oh my God, Kathy. Ridiculous. Yeah, see? Communication's not good. Oh, Sarah, I'm glad you find my stories intriguing. I have been told most of my life from friends that I like live a Seinfeld episode. I think it's really in how I just tell a story. I think we all have crazy shit that happens to us. But anyway, speaking of stories, this segues perfectly into tonight's topic of when fear is a good thing. Let's see, Lindsay, my Fitbit died, was fully charged yesterday. That's what I'm talking about, Linz. See? That's what I'm talking about. All that technology stuff is just so wonky. I think it also, like the combination of the full pink moon and Mercury retrograde, believe me, I am no astrologist and I don't even understand that stuff. But I've heard and I've been impacted by Mercury retrograde. So yeah, not surprised that your Fitbit died, even though it was fully charged. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. My Judge Judy impression. Anyway, so yes, fear and excitement. When is fear a good thing? So the quick answer, and then I'm going to go into the story that I just teased, but I told it in my newsletter. If you're not getting it, you really should be. But I will tell you the story in there as well. So the short answer is when fear is accompanied by excitement of any amount, it's a sign that you're heading in the right direction. So when fear is coupled with excitement, cord issues, at any level, it's a sign that we're heading in the right direction. Just plug it in my phone to give it some more juice. There we go. So the story I told in my newsletter that I will summarize briefly here is a couple years back, Melissa and I were in Belize. I know, so fancy. Walking through the village getting some breakfast. And we were planning on going hiking that day to these waterfalls and all this incredible stuff. And so as we were going to breakfast, Melissa said, hey, I noticed that right behind on the same property where we're going hiking, they offer zipline tours through the jungle. What do you think? Do you want to go ziplining? And I was like, no. What are you, nuts? Of course I don't want to go ziplining. Hiking I can do. Ziplining, no. Not a big fan of heights, this one. So I immediately shut her down. I was like, no. I said, but I'd be happy to cheer you on from the ground. So feel free to go. Good for you. Bravo. I'll take pictures. So had our breakfast, got in the car. We're heading to hike. And it was a little bit of a drive. I think it was at least an hour or so. And so we're driving to the trails. And as we're driving, I'm thinking more about, God, ziplining does sound pretty cool. I don't know if I could do it, though. I had never done it before. And through the jungle. Is there going to be a language barrier with the guides? Am I going to be in a group of 20 people and everyone's going to be brave and having fun and I'm going to be the only crybaby? But there was something about it that intrigued me that I thought, am I going to regret not at least considering ziplining? I mean, when am I going to be in Belize next with acres of jungle to explore and hello, zipline through it? It sounded pretty cool, right? So during the drive, my excitement started to catch up to my fear. My fear was way up here, and the excitement at the idea was invisible. But it started to show itself a little bit, and I thought, okay, so my fear was about a 12, and at this point I was 8 on the fear, 2 on the excitement level. And the closer we got, I thought, you know what, maybe it is something I'd want to consider doing. And so when you're scared about anything, like, it's always good to dip your toe in the water, right? Like, baby step the way in. Sarah says video jumped. Did you see anything, Melissa?
I didn't.
Okay. Might just be you, Sarah. Try refreshing if I'm not back for you. So as we drove there, I was thinking, like, you know what are some baby steps I can take to help respond to this fear? Instead of letting fear just rule the roost and shut down anything I was going to consider doing, what if I were to baby step it a little bit? So I said to Melissa, I'm like, well, maybe I could just talk to the people at the zip lining place and find out what this is all about. Ask some questions, like, what's their safety rating? What kind of equipment do they use? Fortunately, Melissa used to work in experiential education, and part of what she did was lead groups on challenge courses. So I knew that she could look at the equipment and tell me if it seemed okay. And I thought, I can just start by talking to someone. That's how I can explore the excitement while still address the fear. So that's what we did. So we got there, went and talked to the people. They were super nice. They were patient with all my questions. They answered all my questions. And then I said, okay, I'm going to think about it. And I walked away for a little bit, and I was like, and I found myself now my excitement's at a 6. Fear is still about an 8, but I'm closer. And I thought, it doesn't have to be even to go for it. I thought, I have enough excitement now. I'm going to regret doing this. One thing I also learned in asking them my questions was that we were there at a slow period of the day. And so if we chose to go, it would just be me, Melissa, and 2 guides. So it would be like a private zipline tour through the jungle. And I thought, okay, I got to do this. I don't have to worry about anyone else. So anyway, spoiler alert, I did it. And it was amazing. It was just awesome. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever done. The views, the speed, the guides were just as nice as could be. They were the sweetest. These 2 men were as nice as could be. I had my guide go with me each time because I wasn't quite that brave. Again, it's a way that I took care of my fear, right? So I could explore my excitement. And I just wanted to enjoy the ride. I didn't want to have to think about when to slow my speed or speed up, or I just wanted to enjoy the ride. So part of me felt like a baby for having him go with me, but then I think, no, it's good self-care. I get to enjoy the ride through the jungle and not have to work at it. That works for me. There was one time, I said this in the newsletter too, that I was having so much fun with him that he said, listen, I totally have you spin upside down. And I was like, are you freaking nuts? And I went about halfway, and I was like, I don't think I can do it. But even that, to think that I was almost practically upside down, ziplining through the jungle when I wasn't even going to go. It was amazing. So I say that because when you have fear and excitement, it's often that we will quickly let fear squash the excitement and not let us even consider taking a risk or trying something new or head in a new direction. While the ziplining example might be a little bit extreme, the same principles apply, even if it's, should I take this new job, or, this person asked me out on a second date and I'm not sure if I want to go, or, God, I have to set a boundary with a friend and that makes me nervous. Whatever it is, the same principles apply, that if you're feeling afraid, stop and ask yourself, is there any part of me that also feels excited? Anything at all? Because what I have found in most situations, that fear and excitement are opposite sides of the same coin. If you're feeling afraid, flip the coin and you're probably going to find excitement on the other side. I'm just going to pause for 1 second. Kathy, that must be why I research the heck out of everything to feel comfortable and in control. Makes sense. Yeah. That's part of how you take care of that scared part of you, is information helps us. It's let me gather some more information so that scared part of me can feel like I'm not just I'm not steamrolling over her and forcing her to do something without at least acknowledging the fact that this feels a little scary. So it's always, that's the kind of thing you want to look at, is whenever you're afraid about anything, look for the excitement. look for where it is. I mean, I guarantee you, we could probably come up with examples where it's all fear. If someone shoved me off the top of a building, I'd probably just be afraid and not excited. Okay, I don't know, whatever. Melissa's giggling over there at my examples. But most...
Because that would be murder.
Because that would be murder, she said. That's a good point. So that's not something I'm choosing to do. Whatever. But really, like anything, if you're thinking about making a change in your life, if you want to live bigger, if you want to, just really go for it, go after the dream, go after the goal, whatever, but you're holding yourself back, look underneath the fear and look for the excitement. It's there. Trust me, it's there. So if you have anything that this perspective is resonating with, go ahead and throw it in the comments section. Tell me if there's any part of your life right now where you're feeling afraid. What feels scary to you right now, or what feels like a change that you want to make, but you're afraid to make it. I mean, it can be anything from, I want to start exercising and eating healthier, but I'm afraid to start because if I start, then that's it. My life is just going to be exercise and lettuce. But like whatever you tell yourself, if you want to go on a trip, if you want to travel internationally for the first time, but that feels really scary, or think about any area of your life where you're feeling afraid right now. If you feel like you want to throw it in the comments section, go ahead. It's all, like I say every week, it's always best to highlight these concepts and these principles through real life examples, like my ziplining story. So I'd be happy to help you find the excitement in the fear. If you want to go ahead and throw something in the comments. There was something else I was going to say about that. The fear and excitement. Oh yeah. So, when I talk, this is a kind of a different example, but when I talk to clients of mine who I'm working with them to help them simplify their lives. So whether that means eliminating physical clutter or strengthening relationships by getting rid of the unhealthy relationships, it's they can feel really scared. It's like, well, and it's often like that exercise, eating healthier fear of, well, if I get started clearing my clutter, it's going to take me forever, so why bother? Or I don't know what to do with this stuff. I'm nervous about getting rid of what if I need it someday? That whole just in case syndrome, right? I might need this someday syndrome. But then when I talk about, let's talk about what's exciting about simplifying your life. Like, what is really exciting about getting rid of stuff or unhealthy relationships or eliminating what's no longer working in your life. And when we talk about the excitement around clearing your clutter, it's like, well, there's space now and expansiveness, and I feel freer. I can feel like I can exhale, or I love my environment again. So we explore like what would be exciting about getting rid of it, and then we come back and address the fear of like, okay, so if your fear is it's a daunting task, let's figure out how we can baby step it. Or if you feel you don't know if you'll be able to let go of certain things, we'll address the fear of the guilt that might come up. So there's always excitement where there's fear, and dare I say, fear where there's excitement. Yeah, probably. So I'm going to check into the comments here. So Dee Dee says, I want to move to a new apartment in a new part of town. I'm scared to leave my current place because I know its quirks, but I want more/better. How can I work through settling for what's currently comfortable? This is a great question, Dee Dee. So you're comfortable with the familiar. So you're in the apartment that you're in now is familiar to you. Like you said, you're familiar with its quirks. You're familiar with the neighborhood, whatever. So the idea of a new apartment, I bet, feels really exciting and really scary. So a couple things I would say to that. Again, there's that whole myth where we say we fear the unknown, like you fear what this new apartment will be like, or will you like living there, etc. You cannot fear the unknown. It's impossible, because you can't fear something you don't know. but you can fear that you can't handle the unknown. So that's where I would want you to pay attention is, what is my fear? What do I fear about going to this new apartment in a new part of town? Like, what specifically are you afraid of? Are you afraid of, not being familiar with the apartment that you're moving into, or familiar with the part of town? Like, I don't know where the nearest grocery store would be, or coffee shop, or, like, get specific with yourself about what exactly you're afraid of when it comes to considering moving to a new apartment in a new part of town, because then you can challenge that fear of, well, I don't really know where would I get my, groceries, or is there a fresh market near there? Like, you can address what the fears are by doing some research, by maybe finding a Facebook group that's local to that neighborhood, joining it and reading some of the posts in there to start to learn about that neighborhood. If the apartment that you're looking at or considering is in like an apartment complex, you could do some Google searches about that complex and read other people's experiences there. If it's more of like an apartment in a house, then you can research the neighborhood at the very least. So think about specifically what it is you're afraid of, and see how you can address that fear. So that kind of like, how can I work through settling for what's currently comfortable? It sounds like you're not willing anymore to settle for what's currently comfortable. I mean, you say right in your note here that you want to move to a new apartment in a new part of town. I want to move to a new apartment in a new part of town. So you already know what you want to do. It sounds like the only thing that's preventing you from doing it is that whole fear of the unknown, which again is a myth. It's the fear that we can't handle the unknown. So show yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. You can prove that to yourself by looking for evidence of it in the past. Look for times in your past when you have been thrown a curveball, when you have been, tossed into an unexpected situation or had a challenge come your way, and remind yourself how you navigated through that challenge. If you even can, think back to when you first moved into the place you're living in now, and how did that feel? And like anything that's new, there's a learning curve, right? It's like, can we be patient with ourselves through the learning curve? So those are some little tidbits for thought I'd love you to think on. That would be great. But I hope that was helpful, Dee Dee. Okay, let me see the next one. Sarah, I'm doing more work towards the blog I want to start. I'm looking into themes. I think I want a paid version. Part of me is still questioning, even with excitement. All right, Sarah, so kind of a similar thing. Like, what is it specifically that you're questioning? Like, is it, well, geez, if I go with a paid version and then I never do anything with it? You're welcome, Dee Dee. If I go with the paid version and then I never do anything with it, was it a waste of money? Get more specific with yourself around what are you questioning? So you have the excitement of the blog. What are you questioning about it? My sense is, like, just intuitively what I'm getting, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, is that there's a fear that there's not going to be the follow through, that you're going to burn out on it, like you're going to engines roaring out of the gate, and then you're going to quickly peter out, and then you would have put all this energy, effort, and money toward a blog that you don't follow through on. So, but tell me if I'm right. Again, that's just the sense that I'm getting. But yeah, so explore what your hesitation is about, similar to what I was saying to Dee Dee, right? Explore what your hesitation is about, and then how can you address those specific hesitations? For example, if the hesitation is, well, what if I invest this and then I don't follow through with it? Then it's not time to invest in it yet. It sounds like you're still in the stage of kind of fleshing out blog post ideas, or the direction you want to take the blog in, what you want to focus on. Are you going to have a regular schedule of posting? Like, it sounds like maybe some more of the framework might need your attention before you dive into launching it. Again, I'm making stuff up here as I consider what might be going on for you, but those are just a couple ideas for you, Sarah. Feel free to say more in the comments section. I can circle back around. Mary, I can breathe again. Good, Mary. Hi. I'm glad to hear you can breathe. That's a good thing. Liz, invested a crap ton of money into my new venture. I absolutely love what I'm learning and doing, but the little monsters in my head keep saying, well, there goes your money. Well, that didn't work. No one's going to buy your stuff. Ah, Liz, yes. I am oh so familiar. First of all, let's keep an eye to the fact of what you say here. My new venture. So the learning curve, just like anything else we said, there is a growth curve for any new venture. So, and just, because I follow your stuff on Sterling Perch on the Instagram and Facebook and stuff, it looks like you're doing the right stuff. I mean, you're making incredible jewelry. You're sharing pictures of it. You're letting people see what you're doing, and you're spreading the word, which is fantastic. Something that just jumped into my mind, just because I know that I don't see a lot of people do this, but I know when I do see it, it's exciting, that maybe some of the pictures you share are of you actually making the jewelry. So kind of like a behind the scenes photo, or like a little video of it. You could even do like a Facebook Live, right? Of like, let people watch you as you work on creating a piece. It's that whole, you already make beautiful jewelry, but even that, people need that know, like, trust factor, right? They want to know you, they want to like you, they want to trust you. Especially when you're selling things primarily online. I think that's why Etsy does so well, is people take the time to look and see who the artist is on Etsy, and they learn a little bit about them, and then they feel like they have this like personal connection. So I think it would be cool for you to take some pictures of yourself as you're making the jewelry. Maybe even, whether it doesn't have to be a Facebook Live, you could just do a video, like maybe like an Instagram story, some video, some photo, but you could just record a video, put that on your Facebook page, like, hey, here's a sneak peek, or here's a behind the scenes highlight of me making some jewelry. I think that would be really cool. But from an overall perspective, it is a new venture, Liz. And yes, new ventures are an investment of capital, especially when you're selling physical goods. And now your focus needs to be on marketing. And I know for a lot of people, marketing is a dirty word. But if there's any part of you that feels a little uncomfortable with that word, just because we think back to like slimy marketing tactics and whatnot, one way that I reframed it in my business that helped me, and because it's the truth, is marketing is simply letting people who like my work or who are interested in my niche, whether it's jewelry or what I do, know that there's something out there that they might like. So it's a service you provide to your potential buyers to let them know, hey, I've got this new piece, or hey, I'm going to be at this maker's fair, or marketing your jewelry, marketing your business, marketing whatever it is a service you're providing people. How are they to know that your beautiful stuff even exists if you don't tell them? How are they to know that you're going to be at this, maker's festival if you don't tell them? So don't fear that you are selling too much, because it's not selling. You are informing people, and if they're interested, great. If they're not, they'll scroll on by. It's totally fine. But with how noisy the internet is now, if you don't stay in the front of people, if you don't stay on the top of their mind, it's that TOMA, right? Top of mind attitude, then you can disappear into oblivion pretty quickly. So you've got to stay. So if you're not, and again, one week I'm going to do just a business Monday night on Facebook Live, because I can go on this forever, but have a regular posting schedule for your social media, Liz. If you can queue things up in advance, at the top of the week, beginning of the week, you can queue up a bunch of Facebook posts for the week, schedule them out so you don't have to worry about jumping on Facebook every day and posting something. But it can be a different piece of jewelry, it can be if a little tip to someone who might be interested in becoming a jewelry maker, or yeah, like just think about, it can be articles that you find, etc. Like just stay on the top of people's minds so they remember you. Same thing with Twitter. You can have queued up posts for Twitter. Same thing with Instagram, etc. Like you can queue all that stuff up in advance so people see you regularly, because as I always say at the top of this talk every Monday, if Facebook doesn't get the sense that people give a shit about what you have to say, fewer and fewer people will see it every week. So that's just a couple ideas off the top of my head. I know you didn't ask for specific business building ideas, but this is all to say it is a new venture. Give it time to grow. You have planted the seeds. You're doing a great job watering them, but they're going to take time to germinate. And yes, believe me, I understand it's an investment. And that's a whole other piece that we could talk about, is if there's any financial stress that comes with having to sell jewelry, it's going to be really difficult to sell it because that energy can come off. Now, I don't get that sense at all in your posts. It's a sense of, I love what I'm doing and look at this, isn't this the coolest? So the energy that's being posted with your stuff is really, really good. But it's worth looking at that too. Like, look and make sure for your jewelry business, are all of, is your bookkeeping set up, is streamlined, set up wisely, etc. Look for how you can streamline and solidify the systems behind your business, which again gets you in that abundant flow. So, hope that was helpful, Liz. I know that's kind of a lot I just dumped on you. But I just love that shit. Anyway, Kathy. Transitioning from a job I've had for 12 years where I feel institutionalized, customer service for financial services industry, and having the courage to have a new mainstream job to have while I transition into studying coaching and developing a practice. So you're transitioning out of a job you've had for 12 years into a different job, it sounds like. So like a transition position while you transition into coaching and developing. So yeah, if I'm reading this right, Kathy, or understanding you right, it sounds like there's the discomfort that comes around change. You said, I want to, haven't yet. Yeah, so you've been in this job for 12 years, and so the idea of leaving it, I imagine, feels a little bit scary. Because, again, to that part of us that is tentative or wants to keep us right where we are, any change is bad, even if it's really great change, simply because it's unfamiliar. So the best thing we can do at that point is to let that fear have a voice. Don't try to suppress it or quiet it. Otherwise, it's just going to have to get like brattier and louder to get your attention. So, when you think about the fear and the excitement that comes with transitioning to a different job, nurture the fear and feed the excitement, if that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. So Sarah says, I am sure for follow-through. I am thinking about possibly choosing the wrong and not being satisfied with the wrong theme. Okay, so then I would start with a free theme. Oh, good, Kathy. I'm glad that was helpful. Sarah, I'd start with a free theme for your blog. You can always change to a paid one seamlessly, super easy. So don't let that stop you from starting the blog. If that is stopping you, I would dig a little bit deeper to see if that's really what's stopping you. My sense is that might just be the scapegoat that you're using, that it might be a little bit more of fear and trepidation to publish a blog regularly and put yourself out there. And you're using the theme as kind of an excuse. Does that make sense? So start with a free one then you don't have to worry about any kind of financial investment. And if you find that the blog is something you enjoy and you're thriving with it, then you can easily transition to a paid theme or a different free one. There's so many great free ones out there. So Laura, hi, listening, watching you from the mini golf course in Naples, Florida. I love that. Oh, the kids are playing mini golf. Oh, good. Well, thanks, Laura. I'm glad I could be at the golf with you. Trish, I would love to take a look at jewelry. What is the site? Oh, Melissa's on it. Melissa posted right up there. Sterling Perch, for Liz's jewelry. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yeah, WordPress does free and paid. So lots of free themes, Sarah, under WordPress. And then again, can easily transition into paid if you choose to and if you want to. So did I hit everyone's, Melissa?
Yes.
Ah, I'm so good. Look at me. I hit everybody's. Anybody else have any questions? Any things that you're excited about, afraid of, looking forward to? I mean, sometimes we can be excited about something. Like this happens to me sometimes when, you're welcome, Sarah, when I am traveling. So if I'm going on a trip, I've mentioned before that I don't love to fly, but I don't let it stop me from going places. But sometimes I'm less afraid than others for whatever reason. And so if I'm not nervous enough for my flight, I then worry, like, why aren't I nervous? Like, because again, it's a control thing, similar to what Kathy said earlier on. My fear of flying comes from a place of being out of control, right? I'm not in charge of my life up in that metal tube. So if I'm not afraid, then I get worried why I'm not afraid. Like I'm not prepared for should something bad happen. So I better hurry up and I better manufacture anxiety so my flight can be safe. Like that's the kind of crazy way you can think, right? When you confuse fear and excitement. And also, it kind of also ties into, you know, we are conditioned to wait for the other shoe to drop. That when we are really feeling excited or joyful or really stoked about something, it's our natural tendency to get ourselves in check by going, you know what, things are going too good right now, or I am way too excited for that trip. Something's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. It's like Brene Brown says, we tend to dress rehearse tragedy. And we have a really hard time settling into joy. So when your excitement is winning, when your excitement is really up, we can often drum up some fear to what we think is to balance the scales. But isn't it funny how we will let fear be so huge and not let excitement come in to try to balance it. But when excitement is winning, we're quick to let fear come in and knock excitement down a few pegs. So I think it's consistently looking for that balance or that combination of fear and excitement. Not letting fear immediately stop you from moving forward or from taking any steps to create the change you want to make in your life. So fear is a feeling, it's not a fact. Melissa, if you can put that in the comments, that'd be great. Because that's a tweetable, if you ask me. Fear is a feeling, it's not a fact. At Kerri Coach. Yeah. So I'm going to look in the comments here. Kathy, I understand thinking that you forgot about something you need to be afraid of, prepare for, to be safe. Yeah, right? It's like, it's just that fear of wanting to get that in control. See, Kathy, now you don't have to write it down. Fear is a feeling, it's not a fact. At Kerri Coach. Hashtag Convos with Kerri. Anyway, thanks, Melissa. Trish, I want to get back to my weight goal. I hit my goal many years ago, but as years gone by, I have increasingly gained weight back. I want to get back, but my fear is stopping me. Feel like not going to be able to get there again, so I put it off week after week. Totally get it, Trish. Totally get it. So much, yeah. So the fear of not getting there again, so you put it off week after week. Yeah, that is, for me at least, like I can relate to this. There's that excitement of living in pursuit, right? And I've talked a little bit about this before. That's the whole excitement of I'll start my diet on Monday. There's that excitement of like, oh my God, I can't wait till I'm like in it and I'm feeling better and I'm like in the zone And there's such excitement at the idea of that happening. But then when Monday comes, it's like, oh shit, reality's here. I need to now do something. And then the fear comes in and goes, you know what? Don't even bother. You're not going to stick with it. What's the point? Maybe next Monday. And we go back to eating bad stuff and, not exercising. So yeah, totally get it. I am someone who has lost and gained a significant amount of weight 2 or 3 times throughout my life. And yeah, it's frustrating. It's like, oh my God, so much work to get back to where I was. Like, why bother? But one thing that I try to remember, and hopefully this is helpful, Trish, is that just like with any other major change we want to make in our lives, you don't have to wait until you're at the finish line to feel the benefits of your efforts. So particularly with weight loss, if you think of what is one small step that I can take today to support my intention of wanting to be healthier, what might that be? What is one small step I could take today? So instead of thinking, okay, I'm gonna get back on the horse. I'm gonna start living healthier again. So starting immediately, I'm eating better and I'm exercising. That all or nothing thinking can be really difficult. I think about people who have like the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule applies to everything, right? Some people even apply it to their health, where 80% of the time they're eating on point, they're moving their body, they're doing what they want to do to live healthier. And then 20% of the time they allow some slips here and there. It depends on who you are as a person. Like for me, I'm such a sugar addict that if I were to take that approach, I couldn't let that 20% be a full sugar indulgence, because then all my cravings would come back and that would not be good. But I think if you think about, wanting to get back, but your fear is stopping you, again, I would want you to look at what is that fear about? Like, what are you afraid of? You said that you're afraid that you're not going to be able to get there again. So is that true? If you really put your mind to it, would you not be able to get there again? I know that you could. I know that I could. So if you think that's the fear, what's the real fear? So you say the issue is you're afraid you won't be able to get back there again. What's the real issue? And keep digging under that to see what the fear is really about. So just like I said earlier, sometimes we want to answer that fear, and sometimes we really need to excavate what the true fear is, because sometimes the first thing our fear says is actually not the truth. But our fear is so used to us cowering to it so immediately that it can throw us anything and we're going to buy it. So my sense is your fear really isn't about not being able to get there. I'd want you to dig a little bit deeper and see what that fear is. And sometimes what it takes to excavate it is action. So again, what is one small change you can make today that moves you in the direction you want to move toward, and let that be the thing that kind of stirs up the dirt so you can excavate the real fear. Your journal is your friend when it comes to that. Leah Marie, I have been changing 1 meal a day. Great example. I've been changing 1 meal a day. The minute I hear the word diet, I have the word diet in my head. I just want to eat everything bad. So I feel that if I don't deprive myself, then I would succeed. Yeah, perfect example. Love that, Leah Marie. I'm going to like her comment. I'm going to like my own video. Wow. Yes. Yeah, so Leah Marie's changing 1 meal a day. It's perfect. So you can make that change, Trish. Or even if it's like, I want to go have a snack. I'm going to grab some grapes instead, like frozen grapes or whatever. Like, instead of change out one sweet snack for a healthier snack, like whatever it is, like Leah Marie's idea of 1 meal a day. I love that. Yeah, Leah Marie loves sweets as well. Yeah. Sugar, they tell you the studies are really confirming that sugar is more addictive than cocaine, and man, I believe it because I can definitely act like an addict when it comes to sugar. You're welcome, Trish. I hope that's helpful. Sarah, thank you, Kerri. Your insights are great. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I'm glad it's helpful. Awesome. Look at that. Oh my God, it's 8:20 already. How about it? I've just been blabbing, blabbing, blabbing. Well, I hope that was helpful, you guys. So, fear and excitement, it is a great combination. I always tell my clients when they say, oh, but I'm really scared to do that, I'll say to them, does any part of you feel excited? And they'll go, maybe a little. You're heading in the right direction. Fear and excitement are opposite sides of the same coin. So if fear is overriding, look for the excitement. It might have to look hard, it might have to look, really dig deep, but trust me that when fear is there, 90% of the time there's giddiness and excitement to be found as well. So nurture the fear. Don't indulge the fear, but you can nurture it. You can listen to it. Let it have its voice be heard so it can quiet down. It just needs to know it's safe with you. So whatever it is, keep that fear and excitement going. You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Really enjoyed it. As always, we'll see you next week, same time, same place. For the topic for next week, you'll have to subscribe to my newsletter to see what I write about on Thursday. The newsletter comes out on Thursday this week, and the topic in the newsletter is what we will dig deeper into on Monday night. In the meantime, feel free to be in touch with new topic ideas, Kerri@kerririchardson.com, and subscribe to my live feeds. Thanks so much, everyone. Really great to see you all here. I will see you next week. See ya.